Hello, thank you for joining us on the news. I'm Ruth Aguwele. My sign language interpreter is John Bamidele. Let's begin with the headlines. Federal government commits to agricultural revolution through partnership with research institutes. Ministry of Water Resources solicits support of religious and community leaders to meet ending open defecation target. Plus, U.S. and Russian delegations meet in Istanbul to re-establish diplomatic ties. We'll begin from the political scene. The governing All Progressives Congress has held its long-anticipated National Executive Committee meeting after the August 3rd, 2023 session that ousted Abdullahi Adamu and ushered in Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. Political correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports that internal party mechanism, reconciliation, and inherited debt profile of more than 8 billion naira dominated agenda of the meeting.
I would like to begin by thanking God the Almighty for sparing our lives to be part of this first National Executive Council meeting.
February 26, 2025 will remain in history for a very long time in the hearts of political gladiators and ardent followers of top party events, especially within the APC fold, as the positions of Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje and Dr. Ajibola Basiru as National Chairman and National Secretary of the party were rectified alongside other members of the National Working Committee. And the party's plenary session began after a summary of the agenda was read by the national chairman of the party, Dr. Abdullah Umar Ganduje, and issues of internal party politics, array of defections by opposition, and outstanding legal fee of more than 8 billion naira came to the front burner.
Your Excellency, in our effort to further build on the fortunes of the party, provide access and visibility to the leadership, the National Working Committee at its first meetings resolved to be having regular weekly meetings. This initiative has opened our doors to consistent engagement and interaction with various support groups, state chapters, local and international groups, party members in diaspora, envoys, and many others.
Leaders of the party at various layers of responsibilities passed a vote of confidence in the president beyond 2027 owing to the sincerity of policy's execution under a tough and daunting times.
In previous administrations, to even undertake payment of salary, they needed to print the currency without any production, without earnings. But under you, ways and means have been brought to an end. So I want to congratulate you.
As we strengthen our currency, inflation has significantly declined, dropping from 18.2% in mid-2024 to 12.5% by the end of the year.
Who took all the blames at the beginning of all the various reform policies of Mr. President? Cost of living is high, yes. Food is expensive, yes. Hunger is in town, yes. But we need a permanent solution.
There is now relationship between effort and reward. As a worker, sir, that is the basis for encouraging everyone that if you work, you will earn.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appreciated the strategic input made during the session and expressed confidence in the leadership of the party and said the outcome will assist in positioning the party and the country at large.
This cramming place is getting too small for us. And I agree with you, we need space allocation. But you know Abuja better than myself. And you can work with Wiki and let me know where you need my attention.
The party paid tribute to its fallen comrades, who during their lifetime contributed immensely to the growth and survival of the party before and under the new dispensation. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
The federal government's commitment to agricultural revolution can be facilitated by partner research and production institutions like the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, as well as volunteer partners. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this when he embarked on an assessment tour of the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan. He expressed total confidence in the capacity, expertise and ability of the institution to harness the nation's agricultural potential. The Vice President explained why government is poised to partner with ITER, noting the institution's commitment to practical research and robust technological innovations in Nigeria's agro-food sustenance policies.
IIT towards repositioning the agriculture industry in the country. We ought to be not where we are. We ought to be punching higher. Honestly, we came with the bravest of minds and the cleanest of intention for a real partnership with IIT. I want to thank you. I want to thank IIT on behalf of President Bola Tinubu for his unwavering support, his commitment to excellence, and his role in shaping Nigeria's agricultural future. Not even Nigeria's, but Africa's agricultural future.
Our efforts ensure that Nigerian farmers gain access to improved climate-resilient crop varieties, boosting yields, enhancing food security, and improving the livelihoods of both smallholder and commercial farmers.
The Institute is spearheading multiple initiatives that have improved access to climate-resilient seeds and agricultural technologies. ITER has also played a crucial role in crisis response, partnering with the Presidential Food Systems Coordinating Unit to address the recent ginger blight epidemic. In other news, Minister of Steel Development, Shuaibu Abubakar Audu, has expressed confidence that the Metallurgical Industry Bill 2023 will reposition Nigeria's steel sector for sustainable industrialization and economic growth. This was during a stakeholders' engagement to fine-tune aspects of the bill ahead of the public hearing at the National Assembly. Ekene Ndulwe will tell us more.
Creation of the Federal Ministry of Steel Development following its separation from the former Ministry of Mines and Steel Development has necessitated a fresh review of the Metallurgical Industry Bill. Key players have gathered in this hall to review the bill, identify gaps and propose necessary amendments ahead of the public hearing.
What we're talking about here is having a law which will be able to address many of these key issues, and they're very potent issues that unless they are addressed, our country cannot grow.
So with the emergence of the Metallurgical Industry Bill, we are very optimistic that the industry will be more stable, will be more sustainable, and then there will be quality control within the industry.
Minister of Steel Development says the bill will address long-standing issues in the metallurgical industry, ensuring it becomes a key contributor to Nigeria's economic diversification efforts.
For many decades now, the steel sector has been operating without any regulation. The president, like I mentioned during my speech, is very determined to grow the Nigerian economy to $1 trillion, of which the steel and metal sector will play a very critical role in helping us to achieve those objectives.
As stakeholders rise from the meeting, the consensus was clear. A well-implemented metallurgical industry bill could boost Nigeria's industrial capacity, create jobs, and drive economic growth. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
From the agri scene, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has established an electronic extension service platform with a view to increasing agricultural activities across the country. Musa Baba Ali reports that the platform is designed to serve 5 million farmers.
Nigeria is among the countries with the lowest population of agricultural extension service providers. It is reported that one extension worker is attached to 25,000 farmers, which is against the international standard of 1 to 200 or 500 farmers.
About 30 years ago, 35 years ago, when we started war, the ratio of extension agents to farmers is about 1 to 600 farmers. But I need to let you know this morning that the ratio is now 1 to an average of 6,400 farm families.
However, modern information technology, including artificial intelligence in extension service, could serve millions of farmers without hindrance. This has led to the introduction of the National Electronic Extension Platform unveiled by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
We realize farmers need information, real time, all the time, and in different format and in different language. So realizing that, we came up with how to make a digital platform.
By leveraging cutting-edge technology and the use of tools to bridge the gap between research and practice, we move decisively towards an era where extension services transcends physical barriers and limitations.
The platform is designed to serve 5 million farmers as well as thousands of other extension service providers. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Federal government of Nigeria has congratulated the state of Kuwait on her 64th independence anniversary. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar, in a congratulatory message to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the state of Kuwait, Abdullah Ali Al-Yaya, stated that Nigeria and Kuwait share a long-standing relationship rooted in mutual respect, cooperation, and shared aspirations for global prosperity. The Minister of Foreign Affairs says Nigeria values the bond of friendship between the two nations and expresses hope in deepening bilateral ties in areas of mutual interest. He said Nigeria stands in solidarity with Kuwait and its people as it marks this significant milestone, a testament to Kuwait's resilience, progress, and commitment to peace and development. U.S. and Russian delegations will meet in Istanbul on Thursday, we're hearing, to discuss re-establishing diplomatic ties through embassy operations, just as rescue teams in Telangana's Nagarkurnool district of India race against time to save trapped workers. Let's hear more from Chukunonso Umwabweze.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov gave the disclosure of the meeting during a news conference in Doha, where he met the Emir of Qatar. U.S. President Donald Trump has upended U.S. foreign policy since coming to office last month, reaching out to President Vladimir Putin and initiating high-level talks with Moscow for the first time in over 3 years. The latest meeting will focus on resolving diplomatic issues after both countries expelled embassy staff during former U.S. President Joe Biden's administration. Lavrov said Wednesday on a visit to Qatar that the meeting will take place on Thursday in Istanbul, Turkey. He stated that the results of the meeting will show how quickly and effectively both countries can move forward. Lavrov and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met on February 18th in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, where they agreed to kickstart talks on the Ukraine war without Kiev. Both sides have since moved closer while sidelining Ukraine. In other news, rescue efforts continued in Telenanga's Nagarkurnool district to save 8 workers trapped inside a collapsed tunnel at the Sirisina Left Bank Canal project. The incident, which occurred on February 22nd, has left the workers stranded. Rescue teams are consulting experts from Geological Survey of India and the National Geophysical Research Institute to decide on the safest action, including a possible sideways approach to prevent further structural instability, endangering trapped workers and rescuers. Chukunonsonwa Bweze, NTA News.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for increased funding to help developing countries combat climate change. In his opening remarks at the G20 Finance Summit this Wednesday, the South African president lamented what he called the erosion of multilateralism. Chukunonso Uwabweze again reports.
President Ramaphosa said the erosion of multilateralism presents a threat to global growth and stability, adding that at this time of heightened geopolitical contestation, a rules-based order is important as a mechanism for managing disputes and resolving conflicts. Ramaphosa also stressed the need for developing countries to combat the dangers posed by climate change, explaining that the increasing rate of climate-induced natural disasters is affecting countries that can least afford the costs of recovery and rebuilding, calling for innovative financing and insurance mechanisms for disaster relief.
It is vital to ensuring that the rights and interests of the vulnerable are not trampled beneath the ambitions of the powerful. Multilateral cooperation is our only hope of overcoming unprecedented challenges, including slow and uneven growth, rising debt burdens and levels.
Finance ministers and central bank chiefs from the group of 20 developed and developing nations gathered in South Africa for the two-day meeting, marked by the absence of U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and several other high-profile figures. Bessent's absence follows a boycott of a G20 foreign ministers meeting in South Africa last week by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as the Trump administration has been openly critical of the country and its G20 themes. Bessent said he could not attend because of commitments in Washington. South Africa hosts the rotating presidents of the G20 this year, the first African nation to do so, and has pledged to put issues that especially affect poor countries like debt relief and climate change at the top of the agenda. The G20 is made up of some of the world's major economies, the European Union and African Union. It represents more than 2/3 of the world's population and approximately 80% of global GDP. Chukunonsonwa Bweze, NTA News.
Still to come, Senate seeks greater access to eye care for all Nigerians. These and more after the break. Please stay tuned.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Sunana Safiya Ismail, ni daga Gwagwalada Area Council a karkashin Giri. Ina da yara 7 da mijina. Sana'ana sadda itace. Akwai damuwomi da yawa. Rashin kudi da musanta zaka ga itace zai kare ba kudi ne zaka siya wani. An kira ni ayi Safiya Ismail nace yes, come for your benefit at Angondo do Gwagwalada. Suka bani ATM din immediately na withdraw kudi na. Amma gaskiya kudin ya zo at the right time.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Nets Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
Thank you for staying tuned. Senate has called for improved access to eye care services for Nigerians to enable early detection and treatment. To this end, Senate is proposing the establishment of more federal eye centers in order to meet the need of the 80% of Nigerians, of course, in the rural areas. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that plenary has been adjourned to 5th March 2025 as the Senate continues engagement on tax reform bills.
Glaucoma, according to experts, is one of the causes of irreversible blindness among Nigerians. The Federal Eye Center Establishment Bill in Ochadama, Kogi State, sponsored by Senator Isa Jibrin, is meant to provide preventive care.
The centrality of the proposed National Eye Center to the overall health of the citizens is underscored by a recent study on visual challenges in Kogi State, which found that 128,000 citizens have severe visual disorders and about 8,500 are blind.
One of my members from Kogi State that became blind at the age of 13, I asked him, what happened to you? He said he had an eye problem when he was 13. They took him to a hospital that is not dedicated to the eye, and they put drug in his eye. 2 days after, the man lost his sight at the age of 13 years up to today. He's 42 now.
Benue State, most of the time we have to go all the way to the eye center in Kaduna for treatment of eye problems and visual problems. And so I think an existing one in North Central here, very close to all parts of Nigeria, is very vital.
This will be very essential for the good people of not just Kogi State, not just the North Central region, not just Enugu State, but the whole of the country, to have this kind of modern eye center located in that place.
Other features at plenary include the first reading of 5 bills, one of which seeks the provision of a legal framework to establish National Artificial Intelligence Commission. Meanwhile, Senate has referred Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges over her recent conduct on 20th February 2025 in plenary.
A section of the public are now narrowing it to Mr. Senate President versus a senator, which is not so, because our guiding rules, which is our testament, any action against it is an action against the Senate.
Any behavior, any act or omission of any senator that stand inconsistent with the provision of the Red Book, our guideline, is void.
We are all united on one thing. Our rules must be respected.
Following a motion from Senator Umar Buba, Senate eulogized the late Senator Lowell Gumau, who served in the 8th and 9th Senate. In another development, Senator Ojuzo Kalu has commended the performance of President Tinubu thus far.
The president is taking time with the economic team to set everything, and you can see now the president is making a wider consultation.
He urged Nigerians to continue to support the policies of the federal government to have the desired impact. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The Attorney General Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, has stressed the need for continuous reforms in the administration of criminal justice system in Nigeria. He stated this at the opening of the National Technical Review and Evaluation Conference on the National Minimum Standards for the Implementation of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act and Criminal Justice Laws in the state. Judiciary correspondent Austin Ayembe reports.
Following the dynamisms of the society which is governed by laws, reforms in the justice system becomes imperative. The 2015 Administration of Criminal Justice Act was a turning point geared towards addressing bottlenecks affecting smooth dispensation of justice. But 10 years after, stakeholders complain about inefficiency in case management, non-unification of implementation of AJA in some states, and delay in criminal trials.
These ugly realities are still there. Delays, long adjournments, lack of oversight of prosecutors, filing as arraigning suspects when we are not ready to conduct trial.
I'm very happy to see that many states are doing much better than they were last year. And I hope that those states that are not doing well, next time when we come for review, they will also be much better than where they are now.
This is what gave rise to the National Minimum Standards of AJA, which is aimed at setting a benchmark for all courts in the Federation to adopt. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, represented by the Director of Criminal Justice Reform, Nefisa Ayola Daniel, at the conference said, the ministry shall ensure evaluation and monitoring of the implementation of the National Minimum Standards in all states of the Federation.
The Ministry of Justice is ensuring sustainability and national ownership.
President of the Center for Socio-Legal Studies, Professor Yemi Akinse George, who has been working closely with the attorneys general of the states, says the conversation is all about having a smooth implementation of criminal justice acts such that it will engender equity and fairness in access to justice by Nigerians. The National Technical Review and Evaluation Conference, supported by MacArthur Foundation, brought together stakeholders in the justice sector from all the states of the Federation and the FCT. In Abuja, Austin Nanyebe, NTA News.
3 days fidel prayers for the repose of the soul of late Awawu Yakubu Musa, mother-in-law of the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has been offered, seeking Allah's forgiveness for the deceased. The prayer session, conducted by various Islamic scholars in Kaduna, was attended by family members, friends and well-wishers. Kim Gwat's report.
The family residence of the deceased in Malali was a beehive as sympathizers joined in offering prayers for the repose of late Haja Hawa'u Musa. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, described his late mother-in-law as a peace-loving, accommodating, who played motherly role in shaping his family.
We take solace in the fact that she has lived a very good life. She has also impacted on not just her children, her grandchildren, but also the community around her.
Family members and other sympathizers joined in condoling the minister, seeking Allah's wisdom to grant the bereaved family fortitude to bear the loss.
Very, very patient woman. She always advised us, you should be patient in marriage, patient in everything.
We'll continue to pray that the deceased, for whom we are all gathered here to pray for the 3 days fidel prayers, may God repose her soul.
We really lost a mother, a very obedient mother, a guider.
As an NTA family, our boss, our father lost his mother-in-law. I think it's a loss to all of us. We pray Almighty God to grant her Jannah Firdaus.
Late Haja Hawa'u Musa Yakubu passed on 3 days ago in Abuja after prolonged illness, leaving behind 9 children and 26 grandchildren. In Kaduna, Kim God's, NTA News.
And that concludes the news. Thank you for your time. I'm Ruth Aguwele. My sign language interpreter is John Bamidele. Bye.